In today's show, I'm excited to cover the first of 7 ideas for solo programmers and solo founders who want to use WordPress as their development platform. As you will see, we're going to cover everything from software products to software as a service. And today's episode is going to cover the first one, which is WordPress plugins as software products. So let's get right to it.
If you are motivated to learn to code the 21st century web, from plugin products to micro SaaS, welcome to the Plugged Into Programming Show with your host and professor, Jamie Robe. Jamie is a computer engineer and solo founder of the WPPluginCollege.com. And now, over to you, Professor Jamie. Concepts.
Okay, we're going to talk about the first idea that we're going to evaluate with the SWOT tool, and that is creating and selling a software product that is a plugin. So some of you may be going, well, that's crazy. Everybody knows that. But this is the traditional way that people have, programmers and solo founders and things for years, have started businesses on the side, and some have grown into million dollar businesses out there just writing code and selling plugins that other people buy and install on their websites. The reason I'm evaluating this one, because it's still a viable way to make money with your skill set. And we're going to go through this in detail with our SWOT analysis. So let's go ahead and take a look. So we're going to start out by just saying this is obviously a product approach. So we are talking about packaging up and selling a digital software package, which is what a plugin is. It's a .zip file. If you go to WordPress.org/plugins, you'll see there's 50,000 plus plugins in there that are free. There are hundreds or thousands more out there in the world, and many premium ones that are for sale out in the web. And on that repository, there are also, of course, ones that start out free, but they go and become premium. So that's the freemium licensing. People could basically upgrade and buy the one with more features or has better support or whatever. So that's one of the aspects of this. The other thing that's good is that complexity can start out relatively low and scale up with your skill and abilities. For instance, we can kind of divide plugins into 2 different types that are sold out there. One is like a simple utility. So let's say you wanted to, somebody on has a website and they want their links to pop up a certain way with some JavaScript code and some CSS. So you might be able to make a plugin that does that with just a little, maybe one PHP file and some CSS code and some JavaScript that may take a few hours to do and test, and you could sell a product because it does something that people want. But you can also scale up the complexity to create like a backup system for an entire WordPress website. Let's say it creates a hourly backup and puts it into a cloud server. Or, there are plugins that take analytics from page views and sales funnels and analyze and produce graphics. And I mean, there are just endless systems out there. There are entire e-commerce shops and digital download systems. And I mean, the sky's the limit. So based on your skills, and you can do a lot of things. Again, we're going to look at this with our SWOT tool. So we're going to have our internal factors, strengths and weaknesses, and our external factors, opportunities and threats. So let's go ahead and look at this in more detail. Again, this is kind of It's looking at a plugin and just general capabilities. So this isn't specific to a person or anything. And I kind of tried to look at these objectively, all 7 ideas, and kind of compare them together. Keep the parameters equal. So this may or may not be good for you, but it just at least gives us an kind of an objective look at these 4 parameters. So let's just go over them. Okay, strengths. So again, many plugins are technically simple, quote unquote simple. um, People don't really care what's under the hood as long as it does what they want it to do. So you can start out as a beginner and maybe come up with a successful thing that gets a lot of downloads, a lot of purchases, a lot of installs. Um, uh, it's really up to you. So this is under your control. Um, Now the other thing that's also cool that's inherent in plugin idea or plugin as a software product idea number one is that the customer runs their own site and they get the plugin from you and they put it on their site, so you don't have to worry about infrastructure and having huge servers and scaling your databases and some other things like some other types of systems might require. But another thing is that a creative programmer can improve upon the existing types of plugins that are out there. So literally, if you run out of ideas, you can go into the WordPress.org/plugins repository and just look at the ones that are out there and look at the reviews and find something that you can improve upon. And maybe you can create a new type of way to approach that problem. I just listened to a podcast a couple days ago where somebody that has created a new business and they're successful so far, and they are made a form creation plugin, which there are already many out there for many years, free ones and premium ones. But this person has a whole new take on it. So that is something to look at. Now, advanced system plugins are possible. Again, it's really up to you. So this is within your control. But people are often want very advanced systems feature sets and things like that to add to their website. So this is an area to clearly build upon. Now, weaknesses. Uh, this is something that's inherent in this idea. So we need to be aware that each customer install of their WordPress site is unique. So think about that. They have it on a certain host. They have that host runs certain versions of operating systems. It has certain libraries enabled and disabled. Your customer may have 5 other plugins they bought or downloaded for free. They might have 50 plugins. Some people have hundreds. It's amazing, but you can't control that environment. So your plugin has to work in those environments, and so you better be ready to be doing good customer service and support. So that can be challenging when every environment can be different. Again, another thing you need to be aware of is that if you created a plugin as a product, you're responsible for doing security and feature updates, which people expect if they're paying for these things. So again, these are areas that you can control, but you need to be aware of. Now, another area that we're going to look at, these are external factors. So they're positive opportunities, but this is great. There's a large and growing market for plugins. Now, how do we know that? Because WordPress is just exploding on the internet, supplying, millions of websites to people. So it's the basis of a huge percentage of the websites out there. And it's a $600 billion total ecosystem. So there is a huge inherent market out there. So there must be a huge market for plugins to run all those sites. And now what's really great is that the trend has been moving from people paying a single fee for a lifetime license. Now the people are definitely many people are willing to support premium and freemium licensing, many with recurring subscriptions. So that's a lot of possibilities for marketing and income generation from those plugins as a software product. Now let's look at some of the threats. These are external things we don't have control over. Now this is something that could be a positive or a negative, but you have to be aware of it. Since the plugin that you create, you're distributing it. It's based on WordPress, and WordPress has an open source license, and so does everything that works in WordPress. So your plugin will be open source from both a legal and a practical manner, because once you put your plugin and they install it on the system, the code is available to them. It's inherent in the way that plugins are created. So you cannot hide your business logic in a plugin by itself. And you shouldn't. We're embracing the open source nature of this. And so that's something to be aware of. If you want to make some top secret thing that you don't want anyone to steal your algorithm, this is probably not the way to do it. If you must differentiate yourself out there in the market, because there are so many plugins and other types of things that are available for free and premium. So you have to keep on top of your game with this idea of creating a plugin as a software product. But I hope that this is helpful for you to evaluate. And I think when we finish going through all the other ideas, and then we'll take a side-by-side look at them too. But I hope this gives you some background on this idea as a plugin as a software product.
Coaching.
I felt like saying a few words here to encourage everyone that's been thinking about doing a plugin as a product. I think a lot of people look at the 50,000 plus plugins in the free WordPress.org repository, and then they think there's too many plugins already. But and then there's thousands more that are out there in the wild, some for sale and some just for free. But what I want you to keep in mind is, of those 50,000+ out there in the repository, many are old. A lot of them need a refresh. If you have been around in the past few years with the Gutenberg or block editor, that created a need for many of the plugins to be completely modified and some completely redone. So there's always motivations for creating new and updated ways of doing things. There's a lot of people call bread and butter plugins out there, like form builders. For instance, you would think that, there's so many great form builder plugins that there's no room for new ones, but there are new ones. There are some really fantastic ones that have just come out, and it's because let's just face it, some of the old time plugins are just very dated now. So there are new ways of doing things and looking at things. Some of the things that are also driving this whole plugin marketplace is that there are new APIs and SaaS products out there that people are using and signing up for, and they need interfaces into their WordPress sites. There are tools and there's data sources out there. And if you can come up with an idea and implement it, you can create a new plugin that it brings value to people. The other big driver is that there are just so many new companies and new people getting on the internet all the time that there are new markets opening up. There are groups of, especially businesses, small businesses that are getting on because of the pandemic and other factors in the economy, and they just have needs out there. So if you have a unique perspective, a unique experience set that you're bringing with you, I believe that you can add value to your customer. And if you can do that, you can make a successful software product using WordPress plugins. We've covered some of the things you have to watch out for, in that you have to do, really, really good customer service, and you have to be skilled with that, because there's so many different websites out there with different plugin combinations and environments that you have to be ready to deal with that. But for the group that or person that can do that, then there is a pathway for profit and success. You could build up a small product, a business, and it could grow into a huge one. But it's definitely still a growing area, and that is exciting especially for the solo programmer out there, because this is something that an individual can tackle. And I know I've seen it happen. I've seen people do well with this, and I know that if you focus your skills on this and your time and attention, you will be successful. So I hope this coaching gets you fired up a little bit and dive into some plugin programming.
To join our conversation and get the show notes, please visit us at thewpplugincollege.com.